Well, welcome everybody to the Ignite Girls Passion for STEAM workshop. We are, again, very grateful to have you join us here today. My name is Cynthia. I am here with PCS Edventures, today's workshop host. Ignite Girls Passion for STEAM is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, and I sincerely appreciate you all being here because obviously it's a passion of yours as well. I'm excited to share the workshop and some of the tips and strategies that are going to be shared with you here today. And hopefully this is something new and fresh that you can turn around and implement, right away. All right, well, let's get started. Today's sponsor is PCS Edventures. PCS Edventures stands for, PCS, Pat's Computer School. It started a long time ago, back in 1988, before STEM and STEAM was a thing. Pat's Computer School was an after-school program where kids would come to Pat's place and tear down computers and build them back up. The program was so successful and kids were just so excited to go to this after-school program that they became formal after-school labs. It started here in Idaho, and the program again continued to grow and was very successful and expanded to the Pacific Northwest area. Pat wanted to know, all these kids are getting the benefit of these hands-on learning techniques and they're really thriving, right? How can we make this program available to everybody across the United States and the world? And that's how our existing model came about. They took the best of the best hands-on programs that they had at the labs and they packaged them to make everything needed, turnkey solutions for educators to be able to deliver that same quality instruction that he was delivering throughout the labs. PCS solutions are in more than 7,000 sites in all 50 states and in over 17 other countries. Our philosophy is that hands-on projects fuel a passion for learning and a lifelong love of STEM. We serve K through 12 classroom educators, after school and summer programs, libraries, maker spaces, groups, and a variety of youth groups and much more. So thank you for being here with us. I am super excited to share today's workshop, Igniting Girls' Passion for STEAM. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jessica Ventre. I've had the honor of working with Jessica for about half a year now on a variety of STEM projects and writing assignments. It's been truly a pleasure. Jessica is an experienced elementary educator, a K-5 Science Instructional Coach, a STEM writer and educational specialist, and an instructional designer. Jessica, welcome. Join me.
Hi, Cynthia. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming tonight. I'm going to push us over to our agenda really quickly. All right, so I'm excited to be here discussing how we can ignite girls' passion for STEAM and how we can help them build a stronger, more well-rounded future. So just to take a look at some things we're going to be talking about tonight, we'll be taking a look at STEAM Ventures food collections, one of our units. And we're going to be specifically focusing on how we can target female learners' strengths and interests throughout that unit, and then also how you can kind of take that into other STEM lessons, either with PCS or just STEM in your classroom. Brick Lab's STEAM Adventures build site we'll take a look at the very end. And as Cynthia mentioned, we'll have some time for questions and answers and a very highly anticipated giveaway. So make sure you stay tuned for that. One of the biggest and simplest changes we can make in our classrooms is changing the conversations we have with our learners. We want girls to envision themselves as scientists and engineers and mathematicians, and the more we reinforce that idea that girls can, the more they'll be likely to see it for themselves. Let's take a look at our first activity from STEAM Ventures Food Collections. It's from our Seeds unit, and this one is designed for grades K through 1. It's an easy to read interview where we learn about Chef Sherman, who noticed that his Native American cuisine was underrepresented in the restaurant industry. So he works with his uncle, who's a botanist, to discover the names and uses of all different native plants. I really love this reading because it provides us with so many ways for educators to start changing the conversation. First, it highlights how interest can better our world. Girls are often very passionate, focusing all in on their topics that mean the most to them. And like Chef Sherman, they can channel those interests into STEM projects that will make a difference. When we focus on what means the most to our female learners, they get the most out of our instruction and buy into engaging in STEM activities, which is so important, that piece of buy-in. The interview also opens doors for discussing how STEM impacts the world. The female learners in my elementary classrooms were always coming up to me and telling me about this latest idea that they came up with to cut down on ocean pollution or to help this animal that they loved. Girls are very, very passionate that way. And I love that. And it's perfect for STEAM. Knowing that their work is going to help others is often a huge motivator for them. STEM is the perfect field for them to actually make those things happen in the real world. And we want to make sure we communicate that idea to them and show them that that is the case. And of course, whenever possible, we want to introduce STEM role models because that we know that that plays a big role in helping all learners see themselves in the field. And Chef Sherman is a great example of that. So the activity that goes along with Chef Sherman's interview is called the 100 chart art. And it's a great no prep activity. I love that, no prep. Especially as a fourth grade, fifth grade teacher, anytime I heard no prep, I was like, oh, sign me up. That's perfect. And it's that great activity for integrating art and math instruction into your lessons. We already know that hands-on lessons are the most memorable because they give learners a chance to really interact with useful tools like the 100 charts in an authentic way. But what I like most about this activity is that it makes math visual and colorful. I don't know if you've heard of Liz Heinecke. She's an author of several STEM project books for children. And she has said that if we can get kids to see math and art and beauty and nature, that changes the way they think about the world and the way that they actually approach school subjects. When we mix art and math, we can make those subjects a lot more inviting for all learners, but especially girls who often have a love of using their creativity and applying that beauty to the world. What I really like about this activity is if you notice, the boxes are rather large, which is great for our K-1 learners. It gives them plenty of room for coloring and seeing those numbers big and right there in front of them. It's easy to follow the code, and it's a great activity for them to do independently or with a group, and kind of a challenge to figure out what the image that they'll be discovering is. And of course, it goes along with the food collections theme. So now we're going to move on to an activity from food collections grades 2 to 3. This is from our farm unit. It starts off with a great nonfiction reading that's age-appropriate language and illustrations and photographs that support reading comprehension. And if you don't know all that much about potato farming, like I didn't, don't worry. Educators are given a whole bunch of information about farming in their educator's guide, so you can study up on that before you teach the lesson. This reading, paired with the activity we're going to look at, really plays to girls' strengths of responding to open-ended questions and using problem-solving skills. Whenever possible, try to include opportunities for girls to really push themselves to think outside the box and think creatively to solve a problem. The more opportunities we give them to do so, the more likely they are to see the value and depth of their ideas, which is so, so important. STEM is all about sharing new and different ways of thinking. So giving them plenty of chances to practice doing just that is invaluable. The creative writing activity that's also included in the PDF we shared with you is called Silly Stories, and it's a fun way to integrate the engineering mindset into lessons. Engineers need to think creatively to solve a problem, and here we give learners a chance to think through that problem that can be solved within a unique setting and with an interesting set of characters. So it obviously also hits on those reading and writing standards that we're always trying to integrate into our lessons as well. This kind of activity is open-ended in that there are, of course, no wrong answers. It's all about being able to solve a problem creatively, showing that there's so much more to engineering than just math and science. And for girls who tend to shy away from these subjects due to stereotypes and misconceptions, this can be a huge game changer for them. It's not just about math and science. There's so much more to bring to the table when it comes to STEM. Though, of course, if they love math and science, that's wonderful as well. And of course, every story needs an illustration. So it brings art again back into the mix, which I love. If you get a chance, try to think through how you might work through one of these silly stories. The one that I found myself really thinking through was when I rolled that my characters were bumblebees who were working to figure out how to turn the sprinklers off at a farmhouse. I ultimately landed on the idea of them clogging the sprinkler heads with their honey or something. And even though that's really silly to think about, the number of creative ideas that pop into your mind when you really sit down and think it through can surprise you. And our learners' imaginations are only going to be that much more creative. The possibilities are really endless. So I love giving them these types of opportunities for them to think problems through, think open-endedly, and problem solve. The last of our food collections units that we're going to take a look at today is all about gardens. After an engaging overview of how fruits and vegetables grow, learners receive different ideas for starting their own indoor and outdoor gardens. And you can see that on the image on the right-hand side there. And again, more information is provided in the educator guide for you as well. I found this really interesting article from the International Journal of Science and Education that actually suggests that we can positively impact girls' interest in STEM by bringing learning outdoors. So in a study with over 600 fifth graders, girls who engaged in outdoor hands-on science classes not only achieved higher grades than those in traditional classes, but also reported that their perception of science had changed for the better, which is huge. The same had little to no effect on male students. So none of them were, of course, impacted poorly, which is great. But it did actually boost female achievement. So being able to get your learners outside, get them exploring in nature is so critical. Our gardening activity is a great way to spark outdoor exploration for our female learners. Whether it's in the classroom or in their own home, we want to encourage girls to participate in authentic, hands-on learning experiences that have the potential to change their view of a typically male-dominated discipline. They can bring so much to that discipline with their unique ideas and their different way of thinking. So getting them to really find their passion for STEM is so, so important, which I know you know because you're here with us tonight. If you haven't already, you could be sure to check out the interview with a STEM educator who maintains both indoor and outdoor gardens with his elementary students. It can be found on our website, but you can also find it in this choice board that we've included for you as a thank you for joining us in our workshop today. It's a great resource where he talks about a hydroponic farm that he keeps in his school media center and an outdoor garden that he started with his first and fourth grade students over a couple of years. So if you haven't gotten a chance, definitely check that out for more information about how to engage students in that kind of an activity. Our last activity is called Rollaberry, and it combines science, art, and math in a fun way for all of our learners. My favorite thing about it is that it provides a lot of tangible results that educators can use across subjects. For example, the main activity has learners using dice to create addition number sentences, again, making math visual by having them draw out equations using strawberry seeds that kind of fit our garden theme. Love a theme, always great to keep that going. It also includes a worksheet that has learners draw the correct number of seeds to match the numbers shown on the many strawberry leaves. You can see that over on the right-hand side there. Both of the activities are perfect for formative assessment. I could use them as an introductory activity or even as a review. If I were going to use them in my own classroom, I might have some students working on drawing the strawberry leaves strawberry seeds, while I worked with another group to model how to set up and play the game or set up partnerships with other groups. It's very flexible and it's great for making classroom management really simple. I mentioned modeling the setup of this activity. Don't worry if you don't have a set of dice. PCS makes everything really easy for you by actually giving you a set of dice right there. So you can have your students or you can cut and glue the die on your own. If you get a chance to have your students cut and glue, I know in the different grade levels that can be challenging, but it's always a great opportunity to make sure that your learners are engaged in the process of building things in STEM and showing them that even when they make mistakes that they can pick right back up and participate and show them that they can. So I definitely encourage you to have them create their dice if you can. The activity you see on your screen is from our K-1 food collections program, but I love that the grades second and third grade game includes the same thing, but on a much higher level. They use multiple dice for double digits, and they're encouraged to use both addition and subtraction number sentences. So you get a little variation there. No matter which grade level you're working with, the activity is easily adapted for enrichment or continued practice opportunities. All right, so we don't have time to go into our food collection trees unit today, but I wanted to point out some of the many activities included that highlight an important part of STEAM. So you'll see on your screen, there are a whole bunch of different activities that are included in trees. And like all of the units in this collection, trees features build it challenges with hands-on manipulatives and includes engaging readings and activities that inspire both girls and boys alike to develop a passion for STEAM. So even though tonight we're focusing on our female learners, of course, male learners get quite a bit out of participating in STEAM as well. You can also learn more about STEAM Ventures collections in our STEAM Ventures build site. It's also included in the choice board that we've provided for you. It's full of digital resources that pair perfectly with each of our units that we discussed today. And I encourage you to check out food collections, which we've been talking quite a bit about. It was actually listed as a hidden gem for a 2022 STEM buying guide as being an in-house favorite and receiving consistent positive teacher feedback for a great experience with learners and family engagement. So it's great for doing things at home as well. And continuing that at-home engagement with our female learners is so important as they continue to really engage in the material constantly throughout the day. So thank you for joining me. I hope that you can use these strategies to start changing the conversations in your classroom and for igniting girls' passion in STEM. I'm going to hand things back over to Cynthia, who's been following along in the chat. If you have any questions or things that you want to ask about how to use these products or ignite girls' passions in general.
Thank you, Jessica. Lovely slides, by the way. For questions, if you have any questions about the strategies that Jessica went over, please feel free to put your question in the little chat box here, and I can go ahead and read them out to Jessica. I do have a question for you, Jessica. What would you say is the best way to ignite girls' passion for STEAM?
The best way to ignite girls' passion for STEAM is probably to give them as many opportunities as you can to encourage them to participate in STEM, right? So the more we expose them to that, the better. But also it's really to make it fun, right? If we make it more memorable and engaging for them, they're more likely to want to participate and hopefully lead them to eventually pursue STEM careers later on. I think that there's a lot of activities offered throughout STEM Ventures food collections and the other collections that give learners so many opportunities for hands-on learning that make a really big positive impact and make them want to continue to try out different STEM activities going forward. And the earlier we start, the better, right? If you're a K-1 teacher or a 2-3 teacher, you have that opportunity to really expose our learners to STEM early on and build that passion right from the get-go.
Absolutely. And, having, like you said earlier today, it's like saying the right words, right? And motivate them, to inspire them to, pursue these passions and their exposure, right? They can learn what their strengths are. And I mean, the STEM and STEAM fields, could benefit greatly by having that female voice, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's thank you for sharing this. I got another question for you here is how can educators use girls' individual interest in their lessons?
Okay, so I'm actually really passionate about this one. It's something I try to do a lot in my own classrooms where, as I mentioned earlier, my girls would kind of come up to me and say, "Oh, Mrs. Ventre, I'm working on this project," and it was unrelated to the things we were doing in class maybe, but it really connected to something they were passionate about, like ocean pollution or planting more trees and different things like that. And so let's say I was giving them the hundreds chart activity that we looked at. I might challenge a learner who's particularly interested in animals, let's say, to create her own hundreds chart and code for her peers to solve, right? So she's using that math brain and that creativity to apply what she's interested in to a lesson that we've done in class. Or if you're maybe doing the gardening lesson where you're talking about starting an at-home garden, but your girls aren't necessarily passionate about gardening, but they are really passionate about saving the environment or helping the environment. You can get them in a conversation to brainstorm different ways that they can plant trees in the community and how they can help the community's environment. I'm originally from a district in New Jersey, and we had a very big open farm area, and that farm space was being cut down quite a bit over the years as they started to develop the community. So we talked a lot about brainstorming ways to help preserve that land and make sure that farmland was saved for future generations, and to help out in produce and different things that the community was able to help out with. So you're going to be really inspired by a lot of the things that your girls come up with. They have a lot of great ideas, and giving them that freedom to explore their own interest in the classroom is very, very valuable.
Well, in their real world problems, right? So letting them know that the things that they do or they can think about, improving, it gets them thinking, right? And if you show them, okay, here's what we have, here's what it's, become, what would you do to preserve it or make it better, right? Girls just naturally want to make things better, and they're so creative and talented that presenting them with those challenges can definitely inspire a whole slew of solutions that they come up with, and oftentimes it's ideas that we wouldn't have thought of.
Absolutely.
Well, we really thank you all for joining us. I think if you move on to the next slide, Jessica, I had mentioned earlier that we're going to send the recording link to everybody within the next week. You'll receive links to all of the resources shared here today. Lots of valuable information in there, and links to our Build website, which pairs nicely with Brick Lab STEAM Ventures. It just has tons and tons of resources and videos and fun ideas that you guys can utilize, with or without the Brick Lab STEAM Ventures program. Just a great resource. All right, and now let's move on to the moment everybody's been waiting for. So I will announce the winners of today's giveaway, which has been sponsored by PCS Edventures. 3 lucky attendees will receive their choice of one of our Brick Lab STEAM Ventures collections. It would be for either grades K1 or 2-3, your choice. Each of these collections include activity books for up to 10 learners. That's 4 fun-filled activity books for each learner. So with that said, the 3 winners are Stephania Smith, Sherry Freeburn, and Teresa Young. Congratulations, ladies. I will be reaching out to you tomorrow. Yes, congratulations. I'll be reaching out to you tomorrow with next steps so that we can make sure to get these products shipped out to you. So congratulations. This is going to be a lot of fun for you and your students. Jessica, thank you so much for sharing these great strategies. It's been a pleasure having you here. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for carving some time out of your day to be here with us. We appreciate you and all of the work that you do to inspire learners to grow into model citizens and real-world problem solvers. If there is anything we can do for you, please feel free to reach out to us by going to edventures.com or emailing us at sales@edventures.com. We are here to serve you. Any questions that you have, we are here to help you in any way that we can. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.